And welcome to Hannity. And tonight, Kamala Harris has a lot of explaining to do, but don't expect any tough questions from the state-run media mob. Now, the other networks, newspapers, they have zero interest in ever vetting the soon-to-be Democratic nominee. In fact, they really prefer that America forget Kamala's radical record. The most radical person by far to ever seek the presidency. So, as per usual, we will do the media mob, state-run media's job, and actually vet Kamala Harris. We have a lot of new information to share with you tonight. And to be honest, this is kind of a layup. I'd like to tell you it's hard. You just got to do the research and play her in her own words. It's not that difficult. Kamala's on tape giving her position on almost every single issue you can possibly think of. She's on tape. We played it for you, calling for an end to private health insurance. She's on tape calling for a single-payer socialist health care system. She's on tape calling for the federal government to confiscate your firearms through a mandatory gun buyback program. She's on tape supporting a 70 to 90% tax rate. She's on tape pushing for AOC's Green New Deal, introduced it in the Senate. Even if she has to get rid of the filibuster, she's on tape saying that, too. She's on tape supporting the riots in the summer of 2020. She's on tape supporting defund, dismantle, no bail insanity. She's on tape comparing ICE to the KKK and calling for ICE to be abolished. She's on tape advocating for illegal immigration to be decriminalized. She's on tape calling for you, taxpayers in this country, to cover the bill for illegal immigrants' health care, housing, and food. Take a look.
The bill also says, quote, every individual who is a resident of the United States is entitled to benefits for health care services under this act. Not every individual who's a citizen, but every individual who's a resident. So you support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health. Period.
And that's not all. New tonight, Kamala Harris, you're going to love this one. She's on tape calling for Americans to have the courage to reject the term radical Islamic terrorism. And the term, you have to have the courage to do this, to reject the term illegal alien. Take a look.
You must have the courage to object when they use that term. Radical Islamic terrorism, which ignores how Muslims have overwhelmingly been the greatest victims of terror. And we must also have the courage to reject that term illegal alien. I have seen some of the worst of criminal behavior. I have seen the worst of crime. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
No, we must have the courage to reject her and her radicalism if we want to save the country. Is anyone going to ask her if radical Islamic terrorists killed 2,977 Americans on 9/11/01, or thousands of other Americans that had 9/11 related illnesses, or the thousands that lost their lives and limbs fighting a war against radical Islamic terrorists? Are we really to believe that the over 11 million unvetted Biden-Harris illegal immigrants that crossed our secure borders, as they call them, are not here illegally? Again, there has never been a major party candidate for president more radical than Kamala Harris. She is to the left of AOC. She's to the left of the squad. She's the squad on steroids. And it's not just words. You know, since taking over as borders are, and in spite of their denial, Joe said he did task her with the job of fixing the problem at the border. More than 11 million Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, unvetted illegal immigrants have entered our country. Now, this includes radical Islamic terrorists, people with terror ties. Take a look at your screen. When Donald Trump was president, terror watch list encounters at the border, it ranged from 0 per year to a high of 6. Under Kamala's leadership, Nearly 170 encountered at the border just last year, and so far this year, we're almost up to 100 new ones, and those are only the apprehensions. Remember, we have the, quote, got-away number. That likely makes that number much higher. We probably have terror cells in this country because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. The DHS has identified over 400 illegal immigrants, illegal aliens, who were brought to the United States by an ISIS-affiliated human smuggling network. Radical Islamic terrorists, Kamala. As the FBI director pointed out on 5 separate occasions, the threat of a terrorist attack has not been this high since 9/11/01. Now, why the FBI director has allowed Joe and Kamala to allow the law breaking and even aid and abet in the law breaking is, however, very unclear. But terrorism is not the only deadly threat coming across our unsecured southern border. Fentanyl deaths have peaked under the Biden-Harris administration, taking a record number of American lives every year. Violent crimes and criminals, they have also poured in from around the world, including murderers, rapists. They're coming from Iran and Syria, Egypt, Afghanistan. They're coming from Russia. They're coming from China, Venezuela. Look at your screen. Let's look at the victims of Joe and Kamala's open borders. Jocelyn Nungary, remember her, the 12-year-old girl, brutalized for over 2 hours, fought back valiantly, was abducted, sexually assaulted, then brutally murdered. Kamala, when will you say her name? When will you call her family? When will you apologize? An illegal immigrant from Venezuela charged with her murder. They came in under the Biden-Harris open border policy. Rachel Morin, as you know, mother of 5, raped, murdered on her favorite hiking trail. Kamala, when are you going to say her name? When are you going to call her family? When will you apologize for your failure? Her alleged killer, another Biden-Harris illegal immigrant who was wanted for murder in his home country of El Salvador before entering the United States because of their open borders. Not Lincoln, Laken Riley. Remember her, the 22-year-old nursing student, kidnapped, murdered while she was out jogging? Kamala, when are you going to say her name? When are you going to call her family? When will you apologize for your failed policies that you still support? Her purported killer, a 26-year-old illegal immigrant from Venezuela, came in because of Joe and Kamala's open borders. Elizabeth Medina, 16-year-old high school cheerleader, stalked and murdered by a purported illegal immigrant from Mexico. A cop in Texas shot 3 times this weekend by another Biden-Kamala Harris unvetted illegal immigrant. And sadly, we can go on and on and on. Take a look at your screen. These are the names of all the people that have been raped and murdered and all the victims of crime thanks to Joe and Kamala's wide open borders. None of these murders, none of these rapes, none of these crimes should ever have happened. All of these innocent fellow citizens should be alive right now, and all these other victims should never have had to endure what they have been through. Kamala Harris, are you ever going to say their names? Are you ever going to call their families? Will you ever apologize for your dereliction of duty at the border? Or is Biden's border czar just going to pretend that she had nothing to do with the border crisis, all while her supporters like Elizabeth Warren go on TV, brag about mass amnesty for all of their unvetted illegal immigrants? Take a look.
But recognize, and I know that Kamala Harris knows this, this is a problem that ultimately has to be solved by Congress. We need the tools in order to have more resources at the border, to have more resources in the states and cities that are supporting migrants, and I believe we need to create a pathway to citizenship. All of that is a part of what we need to do for comprehensive immigration reform. Kamala Harris will work with Congress and get that done.
We need more of your money to pay for illegal immigrants that didn't respect our laws, border sovereignty, to pay for their health care, their education, their housing, and every other need that they may have, and then give them free citizenship. You don't have to be a genius to understand the root cause of illegal immigration. You just have to watch that clip. Why? Because illegal immigrations are coming to this country en masse because Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and their fellow Democrats, they're now promising something of immense value: U.S. citizenship and health care and housing and food and education, and you pay for it. And by the way, if Kamala Harris wins in November, it will only get worse. Kamala has no problem putting you and your families and other Americans' families at risk in support of this radical far-left political cause. Just look at the Minnesota Bail Fund, for example. Remember the tweet from 2020, the Summer of Love, Harris enthusiastically promoting this fund? This was right during the height of the 2020 riots that they lied about and said were mostly peaceful, like they said that inflation was transitory, like they said the border was closed and secure for 3 years. Well, those 2020 riots, only 4 days after that Minneapolis police precinct was burned to the ground. 4 days she sent out that tweet. And for the record, here's the former executive director of the Bail Fund explaining how the program works. Take a look.
I often don't even look at a charge specifics when I bail someone out. I'll see it after I pay the bail because it's not the point. It's just that it is not the point. The point is the system that we're fighting.
If you're a rapist charged with murder, it's not the point. We got to get you out of jail, and you become a threat to the rest of society. Now, because of the support from Kamala Harris, other Democrats, that bail fund, they went from about $250,000 a year to over $40+ million bailing out incredibly dangerous people and letting them free among the American people. That includes, let's take a look at some of the people, shall we? George Howard bailed out of jail during a domestic assault case. While he was out on bond, well, he didn't look at, what the charges were. The guy shot and killed a man during a road rage incident. The Minnesota Bail Fund paid $350,000 in cash to bail out a twice-convicted rapist after he was charged with kidnapping, assault, sexual assault in 2 different cases. The fund also bailed out a career criminal named Sean Michael Tillman, who shot and killed a commuter in St. Paul after bail was posted. Darnica Floyd also bailed out $100,000 in cash from the Minnesota Bail Fund after allegedly stabbing someone to death. Why would Kamala Harris support any fund like this? Well, because she's a radical. Her views perfectly align with members of the radical socialist squad that now represents the new modern leftist Marxist Democratic Party. And frankly, Kamala is the leader of the new Green Deal movement. Here's Kamala in her own words. You decide.
How's the state going to be better if you're the Attorney General and not Mr. Cooley?
Well, I know that I read that at the Republican convention, he called me a radical. So I guess that's one difference between us. And yeah, I am a radical. I do believe that we need to get radical about what we are doing and take it seriously.
This giggling thing has gone on a long time. Need more evidence of Kamala's radical views? Get this. Kamala has repeatedly praised her own pastor, who blamed America for 9/11/01. Gee, does that sound familiar? And here she is talking about climate anxiety in young people. Take a look.
Young people said, we're not leaving it to other people to decide how we're dealing with the climate crisis. I've heard young leaders talk with me about a term they've coined called climate anxiety. Period. Right? Which is fear of the future and the unknown, of whether it makes sense for you to even think about having children, whether it makes sense for you to think about aspiring to buy a home, because what will this climate be?
So my question tonight is, anybody in the state-run media mob, are they ever going to ask Harris about her extreme views? I would predict the answer is no. 98 days is Election Day. Early voting starts in about 48 days. Will she ever be held accountable? Don't hold your breath. We will hold her accountable. And hopefully you will share this information that the media will not give you with your friends and your family and your coworkers when the topic of how important this moment is for our country, because it's an inflection point. We've said many elections are tipping point elections. This is the inflection tipping point election of all time. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.